Hello, friends and foes. It's been a crazy week. Lots of learning, experimenting, testing things, failing, wasted some money on some mistakes. Lots of getting out of my comfort zone as I transitioned from selling on TCG Player to instead using SortSwift to deploy the same inventory across Misprint, Manapool, and now eBay. So it's been lots of work, lots of just having to figure stuff out, push things till they break. I only ended up accidentally incurring maybe $50 in eBay listing fees before I figured out what was happening, and I subscribed into the store subscription, so it's been fun. Today, I'm going to talk about how achieving success as a TCG seller or in your TCG business, side hustle, whatever it is you are running, how it requires you to get out of your comfort zone and be bold, take risks. Sometimes I call it being audacious. You got to accept that you're going to stumble, fall, make mistakes, things are going to hurt. You're going to do things that you're terrified of. You're going to do things wrong, and you're going to get over it. And you're going to grow, and when you grow, your business grows. So first, I don't have this, I have it kind of loosely planned out. I don't have an exact number of items that I'm going to cover here. But first, number one is, as you are pursuing success in your TCG business, you have to switch your thinking, switch over from a consumer mindset to a business mindset. And in many ways, that might feel like you're betraying your roots. If you come from a background like me, I was a fan of the Magic the Gathering game. I was a player for a long time, and I grew up very poor. And so I played the game. I'm a big fantasy nerd. I mean, you see Wheel of Time, The Witcher, Hyperion, Terry Pratchett. Big fantasy nerd, big fan. And so just very much the player base, that demographic for Magic the Gathering. And even just the idea of viewing the cards not as game pieces and not sentimentally in the same way, that required a pretty substantial shift for me. And then being willing to actually charge high prices for them also required a pretty big shift for me. Not only because I had spent so much time on the other side as a player who wanted cheap cards, and as a collector who just loved getting cheap cards and didn't want to have to pay a lot of money for cards, but also just as growing up a poor person. My mom was a janitor, my dad was an electrician. We were in an area that was predominantly space center people, and so when the space program got shut down and downsized and everything back in around that 2008 housing crisis, all that, we got hit with a double whammy of my whole family pretty much lost their jobs, and my whole town just fell apart, and it never totally recovered until a lot of the space people went back out there. So it was a pretty rough 10 years. But transitioning from just a consumer and just a poor kid into an entrepreneur required me to just really educate myself, to pursue an education. And that's part of why I have all these books. This is my business education. This and YouTube. I did go to college. I didn't study business in college. I studied communication and psychology, which has helped me as an entrepreneur, but I didn't learn the fundamentals of business until I started building one. And so I just had to pursue it and change my mindset and learn the things that I didn't even know what questions to ask. So it really has been a grind, and it forced me to just change how I think about cost, price, money, positioning, everything, and start to really see my skills as valuable, start to see the cards as valuable, and start to understand why items sell to different people at different prices, and break away from my purely like consumer and player mentality so that I could recognize how, like, what is the profit potential in the cards, and what are the scenarios where cards will sell at a certain value, and how do I build a business that allows me to extract that value in a way that's fair and is a win-win for myself and other buyers who are in that situation. Because like, I don't want to be a scalper, I don't want to be price gouging and stuff like that, but I do need to get paid enough to actually run the business. And so I learning how to appreciate the buyer experience and understand them, while also understanding what a business requires, and then find a way to meet in the middle so that it's a win-win situation where players and collectors can find the cards that they need at a reasonable price from me, and I can make a reasonable margin on those things and de-risk the transactions and remain in business, and keep those cards flowing to those people, and have an intake of cards from collectors who they've got stuff that they don't want anymore and they want to convert those items into cash so that they can participate more in the hobby. I can take that stuff off their hands, give them cash for it, and then I can go resell it to people who are looking for those specific things. And then I just get paid for the labor that I put in on taking items from a person who doesn't have it all sorted out, listed, verified. Take that, do that work of sorting, listing, verifying, getting everything in front of somebody so that somebody's looking for one card, they can find it, buy it from me at a fair price. It required a big transformation of many years that I'm still going through, understanding how to set prices, how to negotiate, how to position myself in the market. And it's different with like a service-based business, which is where most of my experience has been, versus like a retail business where you're literally just selling commodity items. So it has required me to grow substantially and change my mindset from just a purely buyer consumer mindset to a seller and entrepreneur. So number 2, second thing you got to learn how to handle high pressure. And depending on what you do for a living and the experiences that you've had, you may already have this skill, but you may not have this skill. And so the type of pressure I'm talking about is negotiating with people who are either selling to you, where you are the buyer, and being able to build that win-win situation when somebody's coming at you. They're not looking for a win-win situation. They just want to win. How do you negotiate with them to turn it into a win-win situation? And the same thing like on the seller side, when you are the seller, people want to lowball you, people want to get a certain price, so learning how to handle that pressure and not fold and cave into someone else's demands just to close a transaction, but also knowing when should you flex, and having your plan prepared for like, what is the acceptable range for me to conduct this transaction at, and getting that practice and learning how to handle that pressure so that you can stand your ground when necessary, but then also extend a hand out to close a deal, shake hands with somebody, and both walk away happy. And this is both online and in person. It's 2026, so you're having conversations on Facebook Marketplace, sometimes with people that don't communicate very well for one reason or another, or in person, where even then sometimes there's communication barriers and understanding barriers. So got to learn to navigate that and negotiate that and stand your ground. And then you also got to learn how to handle the pressure of like deadlines. Stuff has to get shipped out on time. Your taxes have to be paid on time. Paperwork has to be filed on time. So you got to meet deadlines. You got to meet legal requirements. When you are just an employee, and when you spend your life as an employee and a consumer, there's very little pressure on you, because even as an employee, sure, there are some demands, but like, most people work in workplaces where you're allowed to be late a certain number of times. you can build a reputation for being lazy and still not lose your job. All of that changes when you become an entrepreneur. The government is your business, is your boss, really. The government is your boss, like your business partner and your boss. And the platforms you sell on are your business partners and to a certain extent your bosses. And they do not give you the level of leeway that you get as an employee stocking shelves in some grocery store, or doing oil changes or something like that. So the pressure's on, and you got to be able to handle it and perform and meet deadlines and make sure that people are satisfied, that your customers are satisfied, because there's a lot of hands in the pot, and all that work rides entirely on you, and there's a much lower margin for error, and there's very little forgiveness when you are an entrepreneur. It's very easy to get forgiven as an employee, and as well as I do, the saying that the customer is always right. So when you switch into that entrepreneurial mindset and environment, all of that changes, and it's just high pressure all the time, and you got to be able to handle it. Customer problems and platform issues, you got to be able to, you got to know how to make people happy. Sometimes it requires you to take an L here and there and not let it get to you. Platform issues, now that everything's AI and everything is, all the labor's outsourced to overseas and stuff like that, it's pretty impossible to get access to someone who is knowledgeable, cares, and is easy to communicate with to resolve your problems. And so many times now across all the businesses that I own and have been involved in, there's been just mysterious suspensions and platform bans for no reason, really, only to find out that you finally get in touch with someone at customer service and they're like, oh, the AI made a mistake, but unfortunately, I don't have the authority to overwrite that mistake. You can wait some amount of time and the flag will be removed. Apologies for the inconvenience. And then I'll ask like, well, what did I do wrong? Well, I'm sorry, I can't tell you. Or, I'm sorry, I don't have access to that information. Or, how long am I gonna have to wait? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't tell you. Stuff like, it's crazy, it's ridiculous. And it's just, you just got to deal with it. It's just part of life. And so pressure in that sense. And then of course the feast and famine cycle of business. You have unpredictable income and expenses. There's always money coming out of the account. Not only do you have the problem of being a person who's alive and the whole world wants your money, but now even more of the world wants your money because you're also an entrepreneur. And so just constant pressure, stuff like that. So you got to be able to deal with that and you raise that tolerance so that you can eventually start sleeping again. Because the early days of entrepreneurship, you don't sleep. It's just anxiety and agony all the time. It just is. And this has been my experience. Some people are going to say that it's different. Some people have a different experience. It has been very difficult and painful for me. Hopefully it's not the same for you, but there's going to be probably some painful moments. Number 3 kind of ties in with some of this other stuff. You got to have thick skin. You got to take criticism. As you are building a life that deviates from the status quo, as you are building a business, as you're putting yourself out there, as you are assigning prices to things that people don't want to pay, as you're doing all this stuff, if you're creating content, you gotta have thick skin, because people are mean. Most people are cool, but the mean people are really loud. And you just got to accept that as you put yourself out there, as you pursue your dreams, as the actions you take disprove the beliefs that they hold about the world and about what is possible, they're going to go out of their way to try to hurt you. They're going to go out of their way to discourage you. They're going to go out of their way to get in your way and try to stop you from doing the things that you're passionate about, pursuing the dreams that you have in your heart. And you got to let that criticism, you got to let the slings and arrows of the haters roll off your shoulders. You got to put on your armor and not allow those insults and criticism to hurt you. When people are correct, you also need to be able to take it. So that's where, like, you have to have the right filter. You have to dial in your filter in such a way that when people are just being jerks, it doesn't get to you. And then when people have legitimate criticism that you can learn from, you don't take it personally, and you actually learn from it and you integrate it so that you can get better. So you got to be able to do both, and without getting upset about it, without wanting to take out your frustration on people, without wanting to get revenge. You got to transmute it. That's part of the alchemy of business. You take all the negativity, take all the pain, you transmit it into love and service for other people. Not everyone deserves it. It's true. Not everyone deserves your best, but you got to give it to them anyway. It is what it is. Number 4, I think we're on 4. You got to commit to an endless journey of personal growth. I already touched on it in the sense of you got to change your mindset and learn to deal with criticism and pressure and stuff like that. But it goes beyond that, like down to more tangible stuff. Like you got to push yourself to learn skills. That's what all these books are. They're all, inside most of these books, not the fiction, not necessarily, but though sometimes, there's lessons that come from fiction. But a lot of these nonfiction books are like how to sell stuff, how to win friends and influence people is up there. Think and Grow Rich. I've got basic books on accounting. I've got books on delegation, leadership, building systems. And, when I share some of these books, people in the communities that I share them in sometimes will be like, those books are stupid. They're useless. I don't need anything like that. Why would you need anything like that? Like, okay, that's cool. I need it. Like, I don't know what I don't know. And I would rather learn from somebody else's mistakes through a book than have to just go out and make all the mistakes on my own. So you got to pick up skills, but you do also have to make mistakes and learn things on your own. And so there's lots of stuff about life and business that they don't teach you in school. Really tangible, nitty-gritty stuff like how to list items and manage inventory, how to pack orders and make sure your stuff gets shipped safely, how to make sure your customers are satisfied, creating content, how to work a camera, how to purchase the right light, how to edit videos, how to create newsletters and social media posts and create logos and create profiles and create marketplace platform, not create the platforms, but create your profiles on platforms and manage your accounts and get payouts. And there's a lot of that little stuff that you just got to dive in and make mistakes and figure it out. And then there's more strategic stuff like building a brand, mastering price psychology. Of course, we already talked about negotiation, persuasion. These things are not intuitive. And as you pursue them to a certain extent, like branding, marketing, sales, persuasion, a lot of people will actively discourage you from studying that. If I've got Robert Greene books over here, I've got 48 Laws of Power. I've got the Laws of Seduction. I've got the Laws of Human Nature, the 33 Strategies of War. There are certain types of people who, if they see that you're reading a book like that, they're going to be like, what's wrong with you? What are you? I've got the Prince. I'm about halfway done reading The Prince by Machiavelli. Some people are going to hear stuff like that and they're going to be like, what's wrong with you? But like, I want to understand how people make decisions and learn, how do I position myself? How do I position my business in such a way that I can use that knowledge well and help people make decisions that are beneficial for both of us, both them and me. So you got to learn that stuff. And no, school is not going to teach you that. School actively tries to hide that from you. School and society and media, they don't want you to learn that stuff. So you got to seek it out. You got to figure it out. And then the finance stuff, legal stuff, accounting, maintaining good standing with the government, paying your taxes. A lot of that stuff's not hidden, but it's nebulous, it's convoluted, complicated. To a certain extent, I think it's intentional how complex it is, to discourage people from getting the most out of the system and getting the most protections and stuff like that. So you got to learn all that stuff. You got to learn how to be compliant so that you're not breaking any laws, stuff like that. So that it's hard, and yes, communities can help. Yeah, here and there you can find a mentor, but realistically, like, no one can teach you everything you need to know, and no one can walk your path because they didn't start where you're starting and they're not going where you're going. So you got to learn most of this stuff on your own. You just have to. There's no other way around it. You can ask some people for advice, but you can't get mad if people don't help you get from point A to point B, because a lot of times they just might not know, because what worked for them might not work for you. Number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. You are almost certainly going to have to work 100 times harder, wait 100 times longer, suffer 100 times more, and spend 100 times more money than you think. When you first get that dream and that idea of, I'm going to start a TCG business, I'm going to start a card shop, I'm going to flip Pokemon cards and get rich, you have no idea how hard it's going to be, how expensive it's going to be, how painful it's going to be, how many mistakes you're going to make. It sucks. Sometimes it really, really sucks. The highs are high and the lows are very low. And it's hard. It just is. It's hard. And it's hard in ways that you can't predict until you're in it. And then when you look back and you actually have the knowledge of what is required once you've gotten into it, a lot of times you realize, if I had known how hard it was going to be, I would not have started. I don't want that to discourage you, but it just is what it is. And that doesn't just apply to TCG business. It's all businesses. No matter what business you're trying to do, it's going to be way harder, way more expensive. It's going to take longer, and it's going to be more painful than it initially looks. Over time, you start to learn how to set more realistic expectations, but even then, the main thing that you learn, you don't necessarily learn how to effectively gauge the amount of pain that's going to come with a particular path. All you really learn is how to accept essentially an unlimited amount of pain that just never stops. And how to accept just ongoing spiraling expenses, and learning how to build a business that can defend against that, and learning how to be patient, because stuff just takes forever. Stuff always takes longer. And learning how to work harder, like pushing the boundaries of what you thought were possible when it comes to your output, your energy, your commitment to detail, your potential for excellence. It takes more. It's going to require more of you than you currently have a capacity to give. But you will grow to support the burden that you have chosen to carry, as long as you just stay the course. Stay the course. So along with that comes number 6. You will have to let go of many things that other people consider essential. What I like to say is that if you want to have an outstanding life, you got to stand out. The opposite of pain, obviously, is comfort, and you got to let go of that. Most people who are just employees and consumers, like the rule that they live by, and the mantra that they just say to themselves over and over again is, I just want to be comfortable. I just want to be comfortable. Ambition, they look at ambition like it's a disease, and they're just like, I just want to be comfortable. I just want to be comfortable. And that's why they never are, because they're not holding themselves to a high enough standard to actually achieve comfort. They're always just short of it, because even to be comfortable is 100 times harder than it initially seems. And so you got to give up a lot of what society, school, media all tell you is essential. From mundane stuff like going out, hanging out, chilling, wasting time, to playing video games and like screwing around, relaxing, wasting time. There's a little bit of time for these things. Like, You can make time to hang out with friends. You can make time to play some video games here and there. You can make time for family, but you can't have it all. You can't have it all and have a business. Because the thing is, the average person that has all those things, what they don't have is a successful business. You can't have both. So you can have a family and a business, but there are going to be times where you got to focus more on the business or more on the family, or you got to do like some of the other creators in this space do and just accept that this is just going to be a side hustle. You're going to work on it 2 hours a day, something like that. But for some of you watching this, the idea of working on this business for 2 hours a day, every day, even that sounds like a lot to you. And I have bad news for you, my friend. 2 hours a day isn't even part-time. 40 hours a week is part-time. If you're an entrepreneur, 40 hours a week is part-time. 60 hours a week is full-time. 100 hours a week is overtime. That's just how it goes. There are levels that can change, but in the beginning, when it's just you better learn to work. And so, of course, that means you're going to give up. I've got all these books. I have not had the time to read them all. I'll get to them eventually, but right now, I don't have a reading habit. All these people talk about how, to be successful, you need to have these routines. You need to make sure you're journaling every day. You need to make sure you devote time for reading, devote time to meditation, devote time to workout. If you're spending 4 hours on like a personal vibes routine, you're not going to get any dang work done. So you got to grow out of that. There are seasons. There are seasons. I go through seasons where I have a little bit more time, and then I'm able to read 18 volumes of Rurouni Kenshin, or I'm able to read Magician by Raymond E. Feist in a month. So there are seasons that open up and I have a little bit of time. There are, every couple weeks, every other week or so, I try to take a little bit of time to just hang out with my girl. We play some video games together. We hang out, we talk, we eat dinner together and stuff like that. But I don't have a whole lot of time to just sit there for hours and just chill. So, but every once in a while, make some time, find some time. But what I don't have any friends in this town. I've lived here for 2 years and I haven't gone out and met people. I've worked every day since I moved here, pretty much essentially 600 days straight, no days off. I don't go to the doctor. I haven't been to a doctor in 12 years. It's just how I am, so there's stuff like that. I'm pretty healthy, I stay pretty healthy, but I don't do a lot of doctor checkup stuff. I am, a Christian, not necessarily in a way that many Christians would recognize, but I am a Christian, but I don't attend church. I have hobbies, kind of, but most of my free time goes to running the business, and so my business sort of straddles work and hobby, and I have ended up kind of shaping most of my hobbies around the things that are adjacent to business. And so it's to the point where it's I used to love video games. I used to play all sorts of video games. I've owned every Nintendo console, played every Zelda game, and then now I'm I see that Ocarina of Time announcement. I want it. I want to play it. I want to play the Oblivion remake, but I don't have a Switch 2, and I might not buy one because I don't have time. So I still play a little bit of Stardew Valley on my Nintendo Switch here and there from time to time. Play a little bit of Zelda, play a little bit of Skyrim, but that's about it. And it's not very frequently. So just a lot of these hobbies, a lot of the chill time, a lot of that has to go away. I'm not, somebody, I don't know why, somebody said that I apparently have put a ton of effort into being a Tate bro. I just do manual labor for a day job. I'm climbing on ladders, crawling through attics, climbing all over roofs, hauling tools around and materials, but I don't work out. I don't work out at all. I'd like to, it's one of the things that's like, I probably need to work that in. I'm just fortunate that my job is pretty physical, but as far as all the biohacking and health and all that, I don't have time for that. So you got to give up on some stuff. Can't have it all. There's people I admire, podcasters and stuff and I look and I'm like, wow, that's an impressive specimen of a human. At present, I don't have time. I don't have time to do it. I don't have time to read the books I want to read. I don't have time to do the workout plan I want to read. I don't have time to make a bunch of fancy meals or master any like cool, fun skills like glass blowing or anything fun or creative like that. I don't have time. I want to write more books. I wrote the one book and it was challenging. It was fun. It felt good to finish it. I haven't had time to write. I had to stop writing my newsletter. There's just not enough time. And I think we're on 7. When you face obstacles that make most people quit, you have to develop the discipline and willpower to keep pushing, even when you're terrified, exhausted, and in pain. This literally applies to me in like my main business, the dryer vent cleaning and stuff like that. There's times, especially last summer when I first started and I was trying to get my feet under me, I was doing 5 vents a day. I'd be out in the field for 12 hours. I'd climb 5 roofs a day, crawl through attics, and by the end of the day, like I was coming home in absolute agony. Like come home, lay on the floor, throw my feet up while I'm literally like just laying on the floor and literally pass out like in my work clothes covered in dirt and sweat for an hour, and then finally work up enough energy to go sit on the floor of the shower because my legs hurt so bad that I can't stand anymore. And then I just gotta do it again the next day. Fortunately right now it's not been that difficult for me this summer, but it's been consistently over 100 degrees. It sucks. I'm exhausted. I made a video yesterday and I was just absolutely burnt out, but I forced myself to make the video. Today, as I was setting up my eBay store, I accidentally burned through some cash, figuring out the listings. Like I knew I was going to make mistakes and I just was like, I got to deal with it. And then it was really frustrating and I wanted to just like stop, but I just took a deep breath, accepted that I had just set like $50 on fire, and then I spent another $75 on the premium subscription so that I could get all my 23,000 cards imported to the platform, and just accepted that I just basically set $100, $150 on fire, and just took it as yet another lesson, and just keep pushing, keep pursuing. Also, it took me like 4 hours, and I had to grind through it, and I was clicking through the interfaces, going to every single setting, reading everything that's there, and I still made mistakes. So yeah, you just got to keep going. And then now all that's done. I've sold 2 cards since I launched my store about an hour ago. And I know more stuff's going to come. I submitted my application right after that. I submitted my application to LGS Market so I can start getting my stuff live on there. And then now I'm making a video, and just got to keep hustling, keep working. I'm not terrified, exhausted, and in pain right now. I'm pretty tired and a little bit of pain lingering from just the rough week I've had. But today I'm feeling pretty good. But I did have to take a nap today because I got like 5 hours of sleep and was out early in the morning to meet a guy at a roof job, and then came home and I just was absolutely dog tired. And I fortunately had a nice gap today. Today became effectively my day off, and I don't take days off. My day off is I work 6 to 8 hours instead of 10 to 12 hours. That's a day off for me. So one day that may change, but for now, that's just what's required. And so in my opinion, that's important. You got to learn how to overcome that, the obstacles, the setbacks, the disappointments, the mistakes, where most people would quit. They'd check out for the day or they'd give up on the project entirely. You got to not do that. You got to stand firm when other people cave. And number 8, to sum it all up, I suppose, you got to learn to think big and act small. That's a quote from Felix Dennis in the book How to Get Rich. It's a great book. You should read it. The way that I think about this is I say have a 30-year vision and a 90-day plan and stick to them. And so like chart a course and think big and act small. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't be stupid about what you commit to. Don't be stupid about the way you spend your time and deploy your resources. Don't be overconfident. Don't spend money on really high-risk things thinking that they're going to yield a massive explosive return or change your life in 90 days. No, you can have a 90-day plan, but like my idea of a 90-day plan is yes, I would like to get monetized in 100 days, or in my first 90 days. I don't know if it's going to happen on YouTube, but I'm going to do everything that I can to make it happen. So my 90-day plan is I launched the channel with 20 videos because I knew that was within that is something I had control over. I could do that. So I grinded out 20 videos before I even launched the channel, and I released 20 videos on day 1. And then now I'm releasing 1 or 2 videos most days, and I'm trying to get to 100 videos in 90 days. And I believe that those 100 videos will get me to the 4,000 watch hours I need. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut those 100 videos into shorts, and I'm going to cut out somewhere between 3 and 10 shorts per video, and that's going to take 100 hours, and probably more than that. And then I'm going to deploy those out to YouTube, and then I think the shorts, if I release 500 shorts, I think those will get me the 1,000 subscribers I need, because I'm at 230 now with no shorts. So I think I'll probably be at 500 subs by the time I hit 4,000 watch hours, and then release a couple hundred shorts very rapidly over a period of like 30 to 60 days. Then I'll be approaching February, and then if I'm at 750, 800 subscribers by then I can run YouTube promotions to get the last 100 to 200 subscribers I need, and hopefully get monetized before February. That's the goal. So I'm thinking big. I want to have a big YouTube channel. I want to have 100,000 subscribers. I want to have all that, but I'm acting small. I just want to cross the monetization thresholds before February, and I'm focused on making that happen. And then my 30-year plan goes far beyond this trading card business and everything like that. Like the trading card business is just phase 0 of this. I want to publish, not just sell. I want to publish and produce and manufacture and print and create trading cards, books, manga, anime, film. I want to tell stories and create artistic artifacts that transmit values and value to people in a world that is decaying. You see it. You see how far we've sunk as a society. I think it's my responsibility as someone with a heart, with the potential for creativity, created in the image of a creator. What does a creator do? A creator creates. I think that's what it means. I don't think it means that God has 5 fingers and a beard. I think it means that the inclination in the great consciousness to create, to ponder, to think. I think that's in us too. And so we behave in that same way. So I want to do that. I want to create and produce beautiful things. I want to empower other people with an infrastructure that I construct to create beautiful things. And I want to inspire through those beautiful things other people to create beautiful things. And this is phase 0. Phase 0 is find beautiful things, acquire them at a reasonable price, resell them at a little bit of a higher price, use that profit to build systems and create jobs and make people happy and have a good time and learn and grow. So 90-day plan, 30-year vision. That's what mine is. Figure out yours. Who do you want to be in 30 years? What do you want to have accomplished? What do you want to be capable of? Figure out the gap between where you are and who you are right now and who that person needs to be for those things to be possible. And then work in 30, 60, 90-day seasons to bridge that gap, one piece at a time. You build a bridge, one board at a time. Lay it down, nail it into place, make sure it's steady and secure, and make sure that it's not going to go flying off when a gust of wind comes by. You want to gain ground and not lose it. So you work slow, one piece at a time, build the infrastructure, think big, act small. The Sagrada Familia in Spain, most beautiful, incredible, astounding cathedral in the world. Hundreds of years under construction. One brick at a time. Some announcements. Join the Discord. Go to my website. Scroll down to the bottom. There's a contact form there. I might even just put a sign up link, but one way or another, you can either contact me directly through the form, or there'll be something you can fill out so that you can notify me that you want to join the Discord, and then I will give you the link to join the Discord beta. We're still in beta, so it's request and invite only. I just want to make sure everything's secure, everything's cool, but there's 30 something people in there now. We got like a buy sell trade marketplace in there. We got educational channels in there. We got more collector focused channels. We got some hobby channels like books and manga and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. Cool people in there. I got self-promo channels in there. You can go in there, share your store with everybody, and grow the community, help each other out, support each other. So if you want to join the Discord, just go to my website. Let me know. I'll get that link to you. Join Misprint and Mana Pool. I really highly recommend it. If you're selling Pokemon in One Piece, start selling it on Misprint. If you are selling Magic the Gathering, start selling it on Mana Pool. I have referral links for both platforms down in the description below. And if you sign up through those referral links, you will get free store credit on those platforms that you can spend with anybody. You don't have to just spend it with me. And if you make purchases on those platforms, I will get free store credit. And so then if you have joined my Discord and shared your stores with my community, then what I am doing is I am going to spend all the store credit that I earn from referrals in your stores. And then I'm going to use those purchases as giveaways for the channel and for the email list. And so, of course, that means you should join the email list. Go to my website. You can join it there, or you can visit list.getdkc.com. That link is in the description. And you can join the email list to be notified of future giveaways. And last but not least, of course, buy some cardboard from me. I am officially live on eBay now. Everything is live again. So you can buy Pokemon and you can buy Pokemon on Misprint right now. My One Piece is not live on Misprint. You can buy Magic the Gathering on Mana Pool. You can buy Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Sorcery, Union Arena, Gundam, Dragon Ball Super, Lorcana, Digimon, and soon Flesh and Blood, all on eBay. So those links you can find on my website. Visit www.getdkc.com to shop cardboard with me, buy some cool, shiny trading cards. And then most importantly, keep hustling, keep dreaming, keep working, keep growing, because when you get better, the world gets better. Peace.